This entire talk is going to be done in Emacs, of course. And since Emacs doesn't really have any built-in presentation tools, let's just dive in and make one straight away. This is Lisp, and this is the buffer file name. It's the file name we're in right now, and this is slide number 1. I'll turn on mode so you can get, this is the result of the buffer file name. And you see it's talks, web rebels 01 jump to next slide.el. And of course 01 is the clue here. So let's just get a body of that file name, and we can start working on getting to the next slide, which any talk should start that way, I think. So let's split the string on dashes. Now this is a list, parents and 5 elements in the list, and we want the first thing in that list, 01, and then we increase it, and then we get 02. Great. So let's make a function. It's the next slide number. And if you think I wrote that really fast, it's because I'm auto-completing from my notes. Okay, so if I call next slide number, I get 02. Great. Now we need a path. Well, we had the path earlier, buffer file name. I can just inline this and cut away some stuff. And let's concatenate this and this. Let's see. And then a dash and a star. And this looks like a wildcard sort of path. Of course, Emacs has file expand wildcards. And there's a list of the files that matches that wildcard. And we do the first element in that list. And yeah, that's the file I want. So we create the function again. The next slide path. And we can evaluate this buffer, and we'll do, well, let's see, F6, find file at the next slide path, and then I press F6. Hello! I'm Magnar Sveen. I work at a small consultancy in Oslo, Kodebanker. And this conference has been really great, and there's been lots of talk about tooling. And, well, I think Reginald and I are very in line. So, about the moral, what I'm going to do tonight. Okay, let's talk about that. This isn't going to be a learning experience, really. It's more about inspiring you guys to work on your tooling. So, the moral of the story is, you're a developer. You should use an editor that you can develop. And I don't care if it's Emacs, you can use Vim and VimScript if you're so inclined, or Sublime and Python or anything. But you should really start working on the tooling so we can get where Reginald is talking about. So I'm going to start off by showing you some of the stuff that I've been adding to my Emacs in the almost 2 years since I started using it. This looks like a fruit vendor of some sort, some assorted fruits, and someone has made some IDs stuff, not good. So let's get some multiple cursors going. Sublime Text got this right, and it was really fun creating it. So let's change it to fruit. But now I have cursors here, so I can kill it. I can go back here and do a class instead. I can kill. Oh man, no, don't do that. I can kill this attribute and paste it in up here. Change these checkboxes to radios. Yeah, multiple cursors. That was fun. Also, when I get paid to do coding, unfortunately no one has offered me a job where I can get paid to work on Emacs yet. And that's a hint? No, just kidding. I usually do so in JavaScript. And I started working on some refactoring tools for JavaScript. So basically there's rename var, it's called brand name. I can extract some vars, default color. I sometimes have to debug, so I log stuff, like log this. I can inline the default color again, so now it's green, inline. So that's nice. Also, there are some crazy refactorings, maybe not super useful, but sometimes I like to have named parameters. like down here was 15 anyway. So switching this over to taking an object literal with named parameters is like this. So I thought that was pretty cool. So it looks up, it uses the abstract syntax tree, of course, and it looks up usages and stuff like that. Okay. Extracting functions. Here's a grid, and it creates an element, and it adds the class name grid, and then there's just the same thing for the row. So let's just make a function out of this. A create element function. Of course, it has to take the class name grid so I can use it for the row. So I can introduce a parameter and call it class name, I guess. So it updates the usage down here. Now I'm ready to refactor this into using a row. And nice. But let's say I want to specify the type, the tag type as well. So I can introduce a parameter again, type. It updates both of these. And here's something sort of cool. If I change this into a span, and then I go up here and I say, well, undo, I didn't really want that. I'd like to pull that type back into the function again. I want to localize this parameter. It asks me, well, did you want the div or the span? Because it looks up the usages and you get div and span. Okay, I'm going to go to the div. I can inline this. Let's see, rename element. And okay, let's say I want to create lots of rows. I can extract this function again. Add row, I guess. And look, it knows that the grid needs to be a parameter. So I think that's pretty cool. And finally, for loop. Let's add 10 rows. And this is just, how do I include the add row into this for loop? I can slurp it in, like that. And I can slurp in the return statement then. Well, maybe not. Okay, moving along. There's lots of code here, don't care. There's just lots of red. The editor is really angry with me because I'm using globals that I haven't declared. And also I'm filling up the global namespace with stuff. So let's start by wrapping it. Just wrap it in an immediately invoked function expression. And I can add stuff to my globals declaration. And it's no longer as angry. I also sometimes like to include my globals in the immediately invoked function expression. So like this, and it knows that jQuery likes to be $sign. So when I do this, you see it's including it down here. Same for if I do it with zombie, include global. Yeah. So now it includes global and renames it to Z. Okay. Strings. We had an Angular talk, and we had an Ember talk in the Open Midnight. And sometimes those frameworks make me want to create HTML inside strings in JavaScript. And one thing I really like about the built-in JavaScript 2 mode is I can just press enter. And it does this for me, which is nice, I guess. But I wasn't really happy about all this escaping going on. So I created something called string. Oh, this is cool in Emacs. All the commands that are available, you have available here. So I can do string edit at point. And this is the command that I made. And look up, here's the HTML in an HTML little pop-up. So now I can do HTML-y stuff like adding allies and classes really easy. And duplicate, and when I jump back out, it escapes it for me again, which is nice. Let's also pretend that I have some articles going on. And I can split this string, and I can split it again, and I can do articles, and like this. That's nice. Okay. Some water, I think. Oh, it's down there. Damn it. Okay, later. I have some articles, some content, and I guess most editors, thank you, most editors has this feature. And you can like type CSS-like stuff articles, and it's a content box. And I can expand it into the div, like this. But it's annoying having to cut off that ending div and move all the way down there and paste it back in. So I can slurp those into. Slurp, slurp, slurp. And barf them out again. Barf and slurp. It's great. Also I can, of course, at some point I'm going to have to kill this div. And I'm not happy. Can you tell why I'm not happy? It's because it doesn't... Someone... Yeah, it's not fixing my indentation. So what do I do? Do I wait for the next version of Emacs to come out, do you think? Open an issue on some tracker? No, of course not. What I do is I jump over to my Emacs settings, I open my HTML mode file, and I start hacking. There's the hacking. Okay, first of all, when I press Control-C backspace, it kills that one. So I can just ask Emacs, hey, Control-C backspace, what is that? It's HTML delete tag. Thank you, Emacs. And I can switch over to my settings, and I can see, after deleting a tag, indent properly. And I can add some advice. Advice is like aspect-oriented programming. You wrap around a function. So I can say, after HTML delete tag, I want to reindent. That's just an identifier for the advice. And please activate it straight away. And indent region from the point min, which is usually the first character, to point max. And I can run this advice. And when I now go back here and kill this, oh, it's better. It fixes my indentation. Great. So I'm just hacking away at my editor at the same time as I'm using it. And some other cool stuff about building your own tools. I have this blog, whattheemacsd.com, and it's about Emacs settings. So let's say I want to blog about this. I just mark it, and I do what the Emacsd post. And it creates the HTML for me. You see here's my function with some markup for colorization. This is the number of milliseconds since 1970, I think. And let's see. Ever been annoyed at the lack of indentation after using HTML delete tag? What's this? And be annoyed no more. This blog post brought to you live from Web Rebels 213. And I have a shortcut. Yes, please, save them all. And it's pushing this to my server, and it's publishing it. Yeah, there it is. So that is quick blogging. It's fun building your own tools. Okay, moving on. More HTML. Here I have an unordered list and a nested unordered list, and maybe I just want the inner one. So I can raise it up like this. It's a really quick way of working with HTML, and I can raise it up. Maybe I just want to keep those LIs, and I can splice it in. It's nice. There's also, I can join these two. Maybe it doesn't look very impressive, but if I change this, oh man, change this to OL instead. When I join it, it says, well, did you want UL or OL? Let's go with the OL. Great. Oh, this one is a favorite. I have a link, an anchor, and I have a div. And let's say I want a div outside of the anchor. It's really annoying operation doing that. And I can just convolute them. Oh, cool. Convolute. I've also been working with Angular the last months. So I've added some Angular helpers, ng, and I can type click. And it shows me a little bit of information, eval the given expression when element is clicked at the bottom there. But I can also do this, pop up the documentation for ng-click, which is nice. And yeah, intermission. Drink some water already. Whoa, this is really hot water. It's been under the lights all day. So it's just super healthy. Man, so that's pretty much some of the stuff that I've been making for Emacs in the last 20 months or something. I hope you can see, even if you're not contemplating changing editors anytime soon, you can see the joy and the usefulness of building your own tools and extending your own tools. But let's move on and look at some other really cool stuff other people are making. Here's a lib and a test folder. This is the file browser for Emacs, and look, it's just ls. It's the output of ls, and I navigate through it. I think that's pretty awesome. Text rules. But I can also do I can shell out. So shell here, I can do tree, for instance, and then look, there's a penguin in my lib folder. Going into the penguin. Penguins, this is a node module. It slips, they slide, and they fall over, which is basically what I've learned watching Discovery Channel. And I want to jump to the test, and maybe you noticed there was no test file, so it can't be done. But of course, I can ask Emacs, please, won't you make it for me? And now we're going to look at snippets. If you've used TextMate, I guess many of you have, you know that what snippets are. They're mnemonic shortcuts, TC, test case, that expands into some boilerplate. Now I'm going to go with the node boilerplate, thank you. And this is programmable. I think in TextMate there were only regular expressions, but in Emacs you can actually use Lisp to program these. So it looks up and sees, well, yes, there is a lib penguin, so I'm going to include this for you. And here's another snippet, TT, test case. Penguins should be cool. And well, let's look at another snippet. Require, I type rec, and there's my require statement. Here's something neat. When I want my own file, a banana split, notice, it camel cases it for me. That's cool. Okay, moving along. Yes, the cool guy that that's making Code Mirror. I'm not sure if I dare say his name, Margin Haverbeke. At least he's working on a new project called Turn, which is a intelligence JavaScript project that's cross-browser. But he's a great Emacs user, and he's of course made turn mode for Emacs already. Meaning I can do fs read file and get some documentation. He synchronously reads the entire contents of a file. I can again jump to the documentation page. But another cool thing is when I start writing the paren there, look at the bottom, it says read file, it's a file element string, callback, it's a function, it gets some error and some data. That was nice. But, okay, let's turn on autocomplete mode too. Penguin dot fall over. Cool. So it knows about the file in the other, it knows about my requires. And I can jump to the definition. Nice. So, oh, one more thing. JS hint, JS lint. You should be statically analyzing your code. And flycheck helps you. So I can turn on flycheck mode, and this now uses JS hint. So there's something wrong with this line. It says it's an unused variable. Okay, take it away then. Nice. So there's lots of cool tooling for JavaScript in Emacs these days, and it's been worked on constantly. More water. This one is my favorite, I think. Okay, maybe it's not super cool working with REST anymore, but I think this is really cool. I have, again, I'm going to autocomplete for my notes. I have a local server set up, and I can get some events. And this is all it takes. Nice. So I'm missing an authorization header. Let's make that then. We have to create a session. I'll post to sessions. So how do I get the post body in there? Well, of course, I just write it down here. Username is admin, and password is, well, can you guess? Password? Oh, it's a correct horse battery staple. Should have guessed it. Okay, here's the auth token. So now I have a session. I can add some authorization headers over here. And look, invalid format. Oh yeah, I had forgot something. I have to add this. Okay, here's an empty list. There are no sessions and no events. So let's create an event. I can post to the events, and with this authorization header, look at this auto-completion. And it auto-completes entire lines. And the name is WebRebels213. So there's that. Let's make another one, 212, 214 maybe. See you then. And now we can get the events, and here's the list. Let's fold this a little bit. So there's 2 events here. Rebels 214, 213. I think this must be the most beautiful REST client I've ever seen. It's great. Okay, moving along. A configuration file. Looks like a mess. Let's clean it up a little bit. Align regexp. And please align this on the colons, please. Nice. And also on the comments. Oh, now it looks great. Moving along. Oh, Java. Who'd have thunk it? Sometimes you have to work in languages that has search ID message post processors. And and I find this really hard to read. So if you find things hard to read, you need glasses, am I right? So glasses mode. Look. Underscores. Of course, they're not really there. There's just mirrors and tricks. Okay, that was I had to put that in. That was too cool. Okay, wall of text. This is a grep output. What I was doing was, you see, there's an element builder here, and we used that to create functions that created divs and forms and text areas and stuff like that. And I wanted to do this in a better way, so I started by grepping through the entire system, looking for usages. And what I wanted was a list of all the tags that we had been using. So I'm going to show you macros now. I can start a macro, and what it does is that it records everything I do. So I search for element builder, and we go here, cut that out, forward, kill, and my macro is done, and now I can do it for all those lines. I can say, please do it 4 times, please do it 8 times, or please do it until there's nothing more to do, like 56 times. So now we can pipe this into the shell, like sort or unique. And there are my tags. Let's do some multiple cursors. Add these and commas and something like that. And my tags. Oh, there they are. Great. Cool. Undo. Yes. Undo. Var penguins. No. No more penguins. Var bananas. No, wait. Undo. I want my penguins back. I'll undo. I'll redo. Where are my penguins? They're gone. Of course, you all know what happened. The undo is a stack, and I just popped stuff off of the stack, and now I'm stuck. Except in Emacs, it's not a stack, it's a tree. So I can jump up and down on the tree, and I can switch, and there are my penguins. I have some more undo magic for you. Here, and this is the configuration file again, and you know what? These 4 lines, I don't need them. I'm sure I'm not going to need those, and then I'm going to do loads of work. Loads of work down here. Going on. So much. And you know what? I really needed those 4 lines. Damn it. Hopefully they're in Git somewhere, but if this is a new file, I would have, what I would usually do in this situation is I would just undo all the way back to where I killed those lines, copy them out, and then redo all the way back again. Have you ever done it? Have you ever done that? Lots of hands. Yes. In Emacs, you can actually mark this area and please just undo inside there. It doesn't always work, unfortunately, if you've done too much work inside where this thing's going on, but pretty cool when it does work. Okay, renaming files. TC is my old magic word for test case, and it turns out that most libraries presume that you have called your test something underscore test or dash test or something like that. So once again, this is just ls. I really like that. The cool thing is I can now make this readable, writable. So I can cut that out, go back here, write test, and save. Let's jump into a shell in Emacs, of course. Look, they're all renamed. And since everything is text, I can use other functions. At some point, I made a camelize buffer, which camelizes everything, like this. Let's save again. Look, they're all renamed. I think that's cool. Oh, look. Some JS files, some HTML files, some CSS. This looks like a web page. So let's start a HTTP server. Yes, here, that's fine. And there's the web page served from Emacs. Just to make a point, if I refresh, it starts over again like that. So I'm ready to skewer the browser. Plug it in here. And we can go to the game loop. Here's the ball. The velocity is 800. Minus 500, like that. That's a little bit cool. Here's the HTML. Let's make a box. And there's the box. I mean, what? That's right. And Web Rebels Live. It just plops it in there. But how? I don't know. I don't know how this works. Because it just updates this box. How does it know it's the same box? I don't know. I'm so confused. But it works. Yeah, it's really cool. If I go up here, I can send the canvas again. It blanks out because, of course, the JavaScript needs to be rerun. It's amazing. CSS. Let's add the background here. Like this. It's white. Yeah. Okay, do we have time? Yes, there's plenty of time. Let's do, let's go into the ball.js. Down here, here's the elasticity of the ball, here's the radius. Oh, this is fun. 200 radius, really big ball. And when I make it small again, look, it falls. Okay, back to the game loop. A little cool stuff to end this particular piece. Start by making it almost invisible. I'm going to move this ball inside the loop. Say 30 FPS and 200. Now we can slurp these two in and send it. And there's 200 ticks of the ball. So now we can go into the physics and change the acceleration. So if you have a high acceleration, it drops down faster. Low acceleration, it smooth. So let's undo. So new field style, new function, new ball. And it's slow and nice. Okay, that's cool. Yes, we have time. This was supposed to be like bonus material stuff, but I see that I've probably been talking too fast and none of you told me. Okay, so I have this emacsrocks.com thing, and there's videos, and here are all the videos. And here's the number of views and the duration. And I wanted to know, well, how much time have I been wasting? So just copy all that stuff out. And look, there's some stuff at the bottom. And then there's repeating and repeating and repeating. And then there's some stuff at the top. So let's cut it away. And cut this away. And now they're all the same. So we can jump back in with multiple cursors. If you can see down in the bottom there, it says 23. That's the number of cursors, and that's the number of episodes too. So kill this line, kill this, kill this, kill this, join these lines. Oh man, I screwed something up. Let's start over and do this. Okay, sorry about that. We're going to do it again. Okay, kill the stuff at the top. If you've been practicing something, don't do it differently live. Let's see. Lesson learned. And we can join these lines like this. And here's the duration and the views. So, first of all, we have to get rid of the commas. And now we're back in business. These first numbers here, they're minutes. So we have to multiply them by 60. Like that. And we can add them to the other seconds. Like that. Then multiply by number of views. Like that. There's all the seconds. Let's see. There's even sound effects. Wow. So there's the number of seconds. You should just divide by 60 seconds and 60 minutes. And there's 9,140 hours wasted. And you're part of that now. So I wasted almost an hour of yours too. So, yeah. Closing off with my favorite quotation about Emacs. It's like crafting your Emacs configuration is like building your lightsaber. I think that's true. I have some Emacs Rocks videos up. There's my settings on GitHub if you're interested in just looking at how was this even done. And I hope that what you take away from this, other than some easy laughs, is that you should really be working on your own tooling and sharing it with the world. Thank you.
Start in the back. No, wait. We have time for both of you, so I'm going to do the closest one first.
Okay, great talk. About the refactoring.
Yes.
Do you do it? Do you support it across the entire code base, or an arbitrary code base?
Definitely not an arbitrary code base, because JavaScript really can't be reasoned about in any way. That's the project that Martin Haverbeke, the Turn project. It's about knowing stuff about the entire code base. So the refactorings that I've been making are just local at the moment. And so are the ones in Turn at the moment, but it's definitely working on it. And I know that Steve Yegge has the Grok project at Google that he's been working on for 4 years with a large team, that are also about really bringing feature parity with regards to refactoring to dynamic languages in all editors. So in some time in the future, if Steve has done his job right, we get great refactorings for all languages in all editors. So that would be heaven, I think.
What's the best resource for getting started with looking at hacking on Emacs?
Thank you. I was hoping someone would say that, because I have a great blog post here. So yeah, pretty much that. But there is lots and lots of stuff. I would probably go to Reddit at Emacs, and there is... oh man. What about spicing up? Well, there it is. There's lots of resources here. There's blogs. There's pre-configurations, because starting Emacs really doesn't work for anybody. So you have to configure it. And I remember distinctly a discussion in the Emacs channels for some time a while that said, well, the reason all the default Emacs stuff is so hard is because you then have to learn to fix your editor straight away. and I think most people that end up using Emacs will also at some point learn Emacs Lisp and start hacking on it. And of course, that's the secret mission that I have up here, is for as many of you as possible, start using Emacs and creating cool stuff for me. So yeah.
So as a non-Emacs user and a non-Vim user, what you're talking about very much seems like learning a new language, and you're showing you showed a bunch of different languages and different sort of philosophies, and I wondered how knowing the Emacs language so well, how does that affect your relationship to those individual languages and philosophies that you're actually writing?
Well, I started writing Emacs packages like a year and a half ago, and that's when I really learned Lisp. And that's when I really learned functional programming. So for me, it's been a tremendous change in how I approach coding in JavaScript, for instance, or anywhere else, because I've suddenly learned all these verbs. I know what reduce means now, and it's been a dramatic change. But I think you can do that with much any functional programming language. But of course, it's when you can fix your editor at the same time, all those nagging little things that annoy you, it feels great.
I have a question. I'm a Vim user.
Hello,
Right.
where are you?
Right here.
There you are.
Okay, so I'm a Vim user, and apart from the multiple cursors, you can do pretty much that on Vim. So my question is, how would you seduce Vim users into using Emacs? What are the main selling points?
I think actually the guy that made multiple cursors for Vim used my code base as a starting point for Emacs, for Vim. That's pretty cool. What I would say is, of course, Emacs has, let's see, require evil, which is the Emacs VI layer. So I can jump into evil mode here, and now I press J and K and L, and I go into escape, and I go insert mode, and escape out again, and so it's a full-featured Vim implemented in Emacs, and so that might be a start because you get all your Vim stuff, and then you can start working on Lisp instead of Vim script to increase your tooling. I think it was Gary Bernhardt of Destroy All Software Screencasts who said you can implement Vim in Emacs, but you definitely can't implement Emacs in Vim.
It seemed like you had like a shortcut for every command, but you have a finite amount of keys on that keyboard. So how do you solve that?
Well, Emacs has, first of all, there were some, I have this list of all the commands here. So what the Emacs dpost, for instance, I haven't bound that to any key because it's pretty easy to get. But of course, Emacs has lots of crazy key bindings. There's prefix keys, like I press Control-C, and then lots of other stuff bound to other things you press after Control-C. Same thing with CX. Same thing with MT. I have lots of prefix keys. So that's part of it. I'm in Vim mode. Of course it's blinking at me. Wow. How did I get out of Vim mode? Oh, yeah. There it is. And there's also something called key chords, meaning you can, if you press two keys at the same time, that also fires a command. So there's lots of options.